Hello and welcome to a different kind of video this time. I have made a tabletop list that I think represents Space Marine 2. It is referencing one of the missions that I believe is called Decapitation. It's when you fight the Hive Tyrant at the end. So in this list I've got the Death Leaper, purely because I only have one lictor, or I would have more lictors instead. I've got a Hive Tyrant being main boss kind of thing, 60 Hormagaunts to represent the Swarm, 50 Termagaunts, again the Swarm, 1 Carnifex, which is there because during the missions you get your mini boss, you either get a Neurothrope or Carnifex. I chose Carnifex. I've got 1 Lictor. I've then got 3 Tyranid Warriors with melee weapons, and I've got 3 lots of 3 Tyranid Warriors with ranged bio weapons. If I had Ravagers, I would use them, but I don't have the models, so instead I went for more warriors instead of them. This was only a 1,500 point game, so if I had 2,000, again the Ravagers would be easy to fit in, the Lictors would be in there. I'd also have more of a swarm, as 50 Termagaunts and 60 Hormagaunts. It's a good swarm if you're playing a normal game, but I want this to feel like Space Marine 2. I want a big swarm. Ideally, it'd be like 120 of each, but I don't think that's realistic to put into a list, so it's more likely going to be around 80 of each. I've made a rough draft of a 2,000 point list, but again, without Ravagers and without more Lictors, it's kind of difficult to put together till I have those models. In the background, I've got pictures from a battle that I played against Custodes. This is the list that I've just read out, and it was a 1,500 point game. Overall, I think the list does well, but I used it wrong, which I notice now. I should have been move blocking more than I was, where I was more trying to overwhelm objectives and prevent my opponent from scoring, as I believe he only had, it was either 4 or 5 units, I don't fully remember. But the idea of the list was definitely there. I was using the Invasion Fleet detachment, which lets you choose one of 3 different buffs. You either have sustained hits against infantry, lethal hits against monsters and vehicles, or precision on critical wounds against character units. So, being that he had pretty much all infantry other than 1 tank, I went for the sustained hits. The Hive Tyrant also gives, I can't remember if it's Termagaunts only or just infantry shooting weapons, but he gives them assault and lethal hits, so that helped give off a bit of damage, and I feel like he is the right leader for the group. Coming back while editing, it's while a friendly Tyranid unit is within 6 inches of this model, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the assault and lethal hits abilities. So it is all Tyranid units, not just infantry, not just Termagaunts, all Tyranid units. So could be used on, well, in this list it could be used on warriors, but as a general concept, if you're using the Hive Tyrant, it can be used on anything, up to exocrines, whatever else. Right, back to the video. The Swarm Lord, I think, would look better on the table, and I may try him next time, but I feel like he also, well, either of the Hive Tyrants would need some Tyrant Guard, which is something that is not in the list at the moment, but would make sense from a tabletop point of view. If you have played Space Marine 2, then there is not Tyrant Guard with the Hive Tyrant while you're fighting him, but there is just swarms of Gaunts and a couple warriors here and there. So, moving on to what my 2000 point list would be, I'd have 2 lots 10 gargoyles on top of everything else. This is because you can see them flying around during missions and stuff, so I feel like they should have some inclusion. There's an extra 20 Hormagaunts, taking me up to 80. An extra 20 Termagaunts, taking me up to 70. I took 2 Byrivores, which tabletop wise would help with secondaries, but going along with Space Marine 2, it would help as you get spore mines above the Gaunts. So instead of just taking spore mines, I thought if I take Byrivores, it helps towards the game, it will also help me win. So it does a bit of both. Still got the Khan effect, still got 1 Lictor, still got the Death Leaper, still got the Hive Tyrant. So then 3 Tyranid Warriors, so that's 3 ranged Tyranid Warriors, same as before. So it's just the Byrivores, the extra 20 of each Gaunt, the 20 Gargoyles, but this does take me up to exactly 2000 points. So again, excluding the Ravagers, excluding more Lictors, I feel like this is the best I can get with the collection I have. Forgot to mention earlier, but in both lists, the Hive Tyrant has the Adaptive Biology enhancement, which gives him a 5-up Feel No Pain, and at the start of any turn, if he has fewer than his starting wounds remaining, then until the end of the battle he gets a 4-up Feel No Pain instead, which makes him very durable, as tough 10, 10 wounds, 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable, and now a 5 or 4-up Feel No Pain as well, which helps him to feel like more of a boss character. If he did have the Tyrant Guard, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like he could actually be a pretty durable unit. Going back to tabletop wise, as you can see, I did end up winning that game against Custodes. It was close, but it was the supply drop primary mission, which having so many models did really help with. Obviously, a Tervagon would have helped with that as well, but again, going off Space Marine 2, there isn't any at the moment. I would be looking at doing Thousand Suns as another Space Marine 2 villain. Currently do not have any, so can't do that at the moment. But it's something I would be interested in looking into if this goes anywhere. I'm also interested in doing narrative games, so I do games against Space Marines, potentially against Thousand Suns. As you can see, Tyranids and Thousand Suns fighting each other, and just making this a mini series of taking Space Marine 2 from a video game to the tabletop. I know people have made their own games, like I believe it was Tabletop Tactics made their own hero mode as like a DLC from Poor Hammer's Horde mode. So doing something like that could be part of the narrative. Or I'm thinking of doing a crusade. So the Tyranids are getting stronger as they go on, and it's more of a, you can see why they can feel so hard to kill in Space Marine, like why warriors can sometimes take 4 melter shots and normal gaunts can survive 5 different like bolt pistol shots. Which, while I'm on the topic of that, I feel like if at the beginning of Space Marine 2 they just said, after years of fighting against the Space Marines, the Tyranids have adapted to their weaponry and stuff like that. If they had have said that or something, anything like that at the beginning, it would have been much more understandable for why they can take so many shots and it just does nothing to them. But moving on from that, If you have any suggestions for changes in the list, any just how to modify the list for it to feel more like Space Marine 2. I'm also looking at the Unending Swarm detachment to get the extra surge move, make it feel like they're just coming straight for you, kind of thing. On top of that, maybe using fixed objectives. So I might have engage in all fronts and behind enemy lines. Just some sort of you're trying to control the board or you're trying to overwhelm your opponent, and that is your pure goal. But let me know what you think. You can comment in the comment section, obviously. You can mess me on Instagram, you can catch me on Twitch. Whatever works for you. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, and I will see you all next time.